Welcome back to week 3 of Biblical Root Study. We're going through the Bible in chronological order that it is written to see what the Bible says about who God is and our relationship with God. We're starting in Job 15 this week, and I'm going to get right into it because I know these videos are long, so I'm trying to make them shorter. But I still like reading the whole things because I do. God has more important things to say than I do. So let's dig in. Then Eliphaz the Temanite responded, "Should a wise man answer with windy knowledge and fill himself with the east wind? Should he argue with useless talk or with words which are not profitable? Indeed, you do away with reverence and hinder meditation before God. For your guilt teaches your mouth, and you choose the language of the crafty. Your own mouth condemns you, and not I, and your own lips testify against you. Were you the first man to be born, or were you brought forth before the hills? Do you hear the secret counsel of God, and limit wisdom to yourself? What do you know that we do not know? What do you understand that we do not? Both the gray-haired and the aged are among us, older than your father. Are the consolations of God too small for you? Even the words spoken gently with you? Why does your heart carry you away? And why do your eyes flash, that you should turn your spirit against God, and allow such words to go out of your mouth? What is man, that he should be pure? Or he who is born of a woman, that he should be righteous? Behold, he puts no trust in his holy ones, and the heavens are not put in his sight. How much less one who is detestable and corrupt, man who drinks iniquity like water? I will tell you, listen to me, and what I have seen I will also declare. What wise men have told, and have not concealed from their fathers, to whom alone the land was given, and no alien passed among them. The wicked man writhes in pain all his days, and numbered are the years stored up for the ruthless. Sounds of terror are in his ears. While at peace the destroyer comes upon him. He does not believe that he will return from darkness, and he is destined for the sword. He wanders about for food, saying, "Where is it?" He knows that a day of darkness is at hand. Distress and anguish terrify him. They overpower him like a king ready for the attack, because he has stretched out his hand against God, and conducts himself arrogantly against the Almighty, who rushes headlong at him with a massive shield. For he has covered his face with his fat, and made his thighs heavy with flesh. He has lived in desolate cities, in houses no one would inhabit, which are destined to become ruins. He will not become rich, nor will his wealth endure, and his grains will not bend toward the ground. He will not escape from darkness. The flame will wither his shoots, and by the breath of his mouth he will go away. Let him not trust in emptiness, deceiving himself, for emptiness will be his reward. It will be accomplished before this time, and his palm branch will not be green. He will drop off his unripe grape like the vine, and will cast off the flower like the olive tree. For the company of the godless is barren, and fire consumes the tents of the corrupt. They conceive mischief, and bring forth iniquity, and their mind prepares deception. So, Eliphaz went a little bit deeper than he did last time, and which I also think, he's getting upset and he's going into more error. More of the same things that we're seeing in Job's other quote-unquote friends that you see. I think it's very interesting if you're looking at this as the first book written chronologically, because some people assume that it was written before Moses did, because it's in the time of the patriarchs, that you just see how they know what they know about God. They say over and over that they see their fathers doing this. It's passed down from them, that, it's just what they observe, and it's interesting. yeah, it's really cool to see how they see it. But, there's also a lot of error coming of just observing and trying to figure out who God is just by observing the nature. Like, yeah, there's a lot of things you can get about him, and they're all right in a lot of ways, but it's all just like general truths, and some are general falsities. So let's go into the next chapter. Then Job answered, I have heard many such things. Sorry comforters are you all. Is there no limit to windy words, or what plagues you that you answer? I too could speak like you. If I were in your place, I could compose words against you and shake my head at you. I could strengthen you with my mouth, and the solace of my lips could lessen your pain. If I speak, my pain is not lessened, and if I hold back, what has left me? But now he has exhausted me. You had laid waste all my company. You have shriveled me up. It has become a witness, and my leanness rises up against me to testify to my face. His anger has torn me and hunted me down. He has gnashed me with his teeth. My adversary glares at me. They have gaped at me with their mouth. They have slapped me on the cheek with contempt. They have massed themselves against me. God hands me over to ruffians and tosses me into the hand of the wicked. I was at ease, but he shattered me, and he had grasped me by the neck and shaken me to pieces. He has also set me up at his target. His arrows surrounded me. Without mercy, he splits my kidneys open. He pours out my gall on the ground. He breaks through me with breach after breach. He runs at me like a warrior. I have sewed sackcloth over my skin and thrust my horn in the dust. My face is flushed from weeping, and deep darkness is on my eyelids. Although there is no violence in my hands, and my prayer is pure. O earth, do not cover my blood, and let there be no resting place for my cry. Even now, behold, my witness is in heaven, and my advocate is on high. My friends are my scoffers. My eye weeps to God. Oh, that a man might plead with God, as a man with his neighbor. For when a few years are past, I shall go the way of no return. So this is, interesting stuff. It just makes me think of how many people do this to people that are sick now. Not as extreme as this, but we all tend to think that when bad things happen, it is God punishing us in one way or another. And that's obviously not the case for Job. But, yeah, I was just thinking, should this be a name that we put in for God? Because he says, even now, behold, my witness is in heaven, and my advocate is on high. But saying it's an advocate and saying it's a name of God, they're not necessarily the same. But, yeah, that's a coin toss on that one. So tell me what you think. Should we add advocate to the name of God? Because an advocate is someone that stands up in the place of someone else. So this isn't, it's a very interesting concept. But yeah, Job is a very interesting book, where it's placed, of just trying to understand just general knowledge and understand where it gets to. But yeah, it definitely gets more interesting when God comes into the picture, but we're not there yet. So let's go to the next chapter. My spirit is broken, my days are extinguished, the grave is ready for me. Surely mockers are with me, and my eyes gaze on the provocation. Lay down now a pledge for me with yourself. Who is there that will be my guarantor? For you have kept their heart from understanding, therefore you will not exalt them. You who informs against friends for a share of the spoil, the eyes of his children also will languish. But he has made me a byword of the people, and I am one at whom men spit. My eye has also grown dim because of grief, and all my members are as a shadow. The upright will be appalled at this, and the innocent will stir up himself against the godless. Nevertheless, the righteous will hold to his way, and he who has clean hands will grow stronger and stronger. But come against all of you now, for I do not find a wise man among you. My days are past, my plans are torn apart, even the wishes of my heart. They make night into day, saying, the light is near in the presence of darkness. If I look for Sheol as my home, I make my bed in the darkness. If I call to the pit, you are my father, to the worm, my mother and my sister. Where now is my hope, and who regards my hope? Will it go down with me to Sheol? Shall we together go down into the dust? Then Biladad the Shuhite responded, how long will you hunt for words? Show understanding, and then we can talk. Why are we regarded as beasts, as stupid in your eyes? O you who tear yourself in your anger, for your sake is the earth to be abandoned, or the rock to be moved from its place? Indeed, the light of the wicked goes out, and the flame of his fire gives no light. The light in his tent is darkened, and his lamp goes out above him. His vigorous stride is shortened, and his own scheme brings him down. For he is thrown into the net by his own feet, and he steps on the webbing. A snare seizes him by the heel, and a trap snaps shut on him. A noose for him is hidden on the ground, and a trap for him on the path. All around, terrors frighten him, and harry him at every step. His strength is famished, and calamity is ready at his side. His skin is devoured by disease. The firstborn of death devours his limbs. He is torn from the security of his tent, and they march him before the king of terrors. There dwells in his tent nothing of his. Brimstone is scattered on his habitation. His roots are dried below, and his branches cut off above. Memory of him perishes from the earth, and he has no name abroad. He is driven from light into darkness, and chased from the inhabited world. He has no offspring or posterity among his people, nor any survivor where he sojourned. Those in the west are appalled at his fate, and those in the east are seized with horror. Surely such are all the dwellings of the wicked, and this is the place of him who does not know God. Yeah, so very mean friends, because he is just thinking all the stuff is coming to him. He's thinking his chickens come home to roost, that he deserves absolutely everything that's happened to him, and he's wrong. But let's see what Job's response says. How long will you torment me and crush me with your words? These 10 times you have insulted me. You are not ashamed to wrong me. Even if I had truly erred, my error lodges with me. If indeed you vaunt yourselves against me, and prove my disgrace to me, know then that God has wronged me, and has closed his net around me. Behold, I cry violence, but I get no answer. I shout for help, but there is no justice. He has walled up my way so that I cannot pass, and he has put darkness on my paths. He has stripped my honor from me and removed the crown from my head. He breaks me down on every side, and I am gone, and he has uprooted my hope like a tree. He has also kindled his anger against me and considered me as his enemy. His troops come together and build up their way against me and clamp around my tent. He has removed my brother far from me, and my acquaintances are completely estranged from me. My relatives have failed, and my intimate friends have forgotten me. Those who live in my house and my maids consider me strange. I am a foreigner in their sight. I call to my servant, but he does not answer. I have to implore him with my mouth. My breath is offensive to my wife, and I am loathsome to my brothers. Even young children despise me. I rise up, and they speak against me. All my associates abhor me, and those I love have turned against me. My bones cling to my skin and my flesh, and I have escaped only by the skin of my teeth. Pity me, O you my friends, for the hand of God has struck me. Why do you persecute me as God does? Are you not satisfied with my flesh? Oh, that my words were written. Oh, that they were inscribed in a book, that there were an iron stylus and lead, were they engraved in a rock forever. As for me, I know that my Redeemer lives, and that at last he will take his stand on earth, even after my skin is destroyed. Yet from my flesh I shall see God, whom I myself have beheld, and whom my eyes will see, and not another, and my heart faints with me. If you say, how shall we persecute him? And what pretext for a case against him can we find? Then be afraid of the sword for yourselves, for wrath brings, and punishment of the sword, so that you may know there is a judgment. All right, there's a couple cool things in this chapter that I want to go over. And one is another name for God, because I would definitely put this. As for me, I know that my Redeemer lives, and at last he will take his stand on the earth. So my Redeemer, let's go into eSword. The word for Redeemer is Goal. Goal. A primitive root to redeem, that is, to be next of kin, such as to buy back relatives' property, as in any wise, redeem at all, avenge, deliver, reform, part, next, kinsfolk, purchase, ransom, redeem, or revenger. So, yeah, God is our Redeemer, and he says, I know my Redeemer lives. And there's a song about that. But yeah, so we put that here. We have Elohim, Yahweh, Eloah, Osa, El, Shaddai, Kadosh, Nastar Adam, and now Goal, Redeemer. So, yeah. But there's one other thing that it is totally missed in the NASB, the New American Standard Version. Let me see if I could find it in here. Because I read this in my Bible. I was reading in the New King James earlier, and I noticed it. I thought it was pretty cool. I even looked it up, and then it's totally not even in here. Here it is. He has stripped my honor from me and removed the crown from my head. Job 19:9. Let's look at that in the King James. So, where are you, King James? There we are. So 19:9. He has stripped me of my glory. And the word for glory is kabod. It means weight, out of figure of good sense, splendor, copious, or glorious, or glory. And this is the same word that is used when the temple is filled with God's glory. So I think it's pretty interesting when you look at it. It means the weight. So when it's talking about God and his glory, it's talking about the weight of God, of what his glory is, his presence. But a man's glory is obviously a bit different. It is, when it says he stripped me of my glory and taken the crown from my head, his glory is everything of who he was, who Job was, and who was seen as. He was seen as as it says in, let's go to Job 1. Let's look at that ESV. Okay, and it says in the feast days, Job with all his, let's see. I'm trying to find it. Where it says, many servants invite. I'm sorry. I didn't plan this out. Let's see. It says, where does it say he's the greatest man among them? I'm not finding it. Let's see. Oh, so here it is. It says, so that this man was the greatest of all the people in the East. So when we're seeing Job's glory, rather than just, glory in this spiritual sense of a word that doesn't mean anything to us and it just fits really good in songs. Glory was, it's a real tangible thing. He had glory, he had honor, he had respect. People looked up to him. They adored him. He had so many possessions and family and blessings and money. I mean, he didn't have money, but he had, in what was money in their day, he had 500 yokes of oxen, 500 female donkeys, 3,000 camels, 7,000 sheep. I mean, if any man had glory, it was Job. And as we see in Job 19:9, he is stripped from me my glory and taken the crown from my head. That was taken away. I just thought it was just a pretty interesting look into the word of what glory is, which we'll get to further on when we're talking about glory, but it's just interesting to look at it into Job's perspective. All right, let's go to the next chapter. Then Zophar the Naamathite answered, therefore my disquieting thoughts make me respond, even because of my inward agitation. I listen to the reproof which insults me, and the spirit of my understanding makes me answer. Do you know this from of old, from the establishment of man on earth, that the triumphing of the wicked is short, and the joy of the godless is momentary? Though the loftiness reaches the heavens, and his head touches the clouds, he perishes forever like his refuse. Those who will see him will say, where is he? He flies away like a dream, and they cannot find him. Even like a vision of the night, he is chased away. The eye which saw him sees him no longer, and his place no longer beholds him. His sons favor the poor, and his hands give back his wealth. His bones are full of the youthful vigor, but it lies down with him in the dust. Though evil is sweet in his mouth, and he hides it under his tongue, though he desires it and will not let it go, but behold it in his mouth. Yet his food in his stomach is changed to the venom of cobras within him. He swallows riches, but they will vomit them up. God will expel them from his belly. He sucks the poison of cobras. The viper's tongue slays him. He does not look at the streams, the rivers flowing with honey and curds. He returns what he has attained and cannot swallow it. As to the riches of his trading, he cannot even enjoy them, for he has oppressed and forsaken the poor. He has seized a house which he has not built, because he knew no quiet within him. He does not retain anything he desires. Nothing remains for him to devour. Therefore his prosperity does not endure. In the fullness of his plenty he will be cramped. The hand of everyone who suffers will come against him. When he fills his belly, God will send his fierce anger on him, and will rain it on him while he is eating. He may flee from the iron weapon, but the bronze bow will pierce him. It is drawn forth and comes out of his back. Even the glittering point from his gall. Terrors come upon him. Complete darkness is held in reserve for his treasures. An unfanned fire will devour him. It will consume the survivor in his tent. The heavens will reveal his iniquity, and the earth will rise up against him. The increase of his house will depart. His possession will flow away in the days of his anger. Thus is the wicked man's portion from God, even the heritage decreed to him by God. So, Zophar, also not a very good friend, and really, really wrong. Like, these people can only see bad things happen to bad people, which it makes sense for the Bible that it's a very big theme that sometimes really, really bad things can happen to really, really good people. So let's go to the next chapter. Then Job answered, listen carefully to my speech, and let this be your way of consolation. Bear with me that I may speak. Then after I have spoken, you may mock. As for me, is my complaint to man? And why should I not be impatient? Look at me and be astonished, and put your hand over your mouth. Even when I remember, I am disturbed, and horror takes hold of my flesh. Why do the wicked still live? Continue on, who become very powerful. Their descendants are established with them in their sight, and the offspring before their eyes. Their houses are safe from fear. The rod of God is not on them. His ox mates without fail. His cows calves and do not abort. They send forth their little ones like the flock, and their children skip about. They sing to the timbrel and harp, and rejoice at the sound of the flute. They spend their days in prosperity, and suddenly they go down to Sheol. They say to God, "Depart from us. We do not even desire the knowledge of your ways. Who is almighty, that we should serve him? And what would we gain if we entreat him? Behold, their prosperity is not in their hand. The counsel of the wicked is far from me. How often is the lamp of the wicked put out? Or does their calamity fall on them? Does God apportion destruction in his anger? Are they straw before the wind, and like chaff which the storm carries away? You say, God stores away a man's iniquity for his sons. Let God repay him, so that he may know it. Let his own eyes see his decay, and let him drink of the wrath of the Almighty. For what does he care for his household after him, when the number of the months is cut off? Can anyone teach God knowledge, and that he judges those on high? One dies in his full strength, being whole, at ease, and satisfied. His sides are filled out with fat, and the marrow in his bones is moist, while another dies with a bitter soul, never even tasting anything good. Together they lie down in the dust. The worms cover them. Behold, I know your thoughts, and the plans by which you would wrong me. For you say, where is the house of the nobleman, and where is this tent, the dwelling place of the wicked? Have you not asked wayfaring men, and do you not recognize their witnesses? For the wicked is reserved for the day of the calamity. They will be led forth at their day of fury. Who will confront him with their actions, and who will repay them for what he has done? While he is carried to the grave, men will keep watch over his tomb. The clods of the valley will gently cover him. Moreover, all men will follow after him, while countless ones go before him. How then will you vainly comfort me? For your answers remain full of falsehood. And that is chapter 21. So, yeah, just going back and forth, and yeah, we're waiting for the big climax, and we're just picking up the names and seeing what we can get from God. So I hope you enjoy this study, and thanks for joining us, and God bless.